What if I told you that I wasted 9 years of my life trying to learn English? And actually, I was getting nowhere. Not because I was lazy and not because I wasn't trying. It was actually because no one told me that the way I was learning was the exact thing keeping me stuck. So, no matter how hard I tried, nothing seemed to work. I studied grammar, I memorized vocabulary, and of course, I had English classes at school. And even after all of that, I couldn't manage a call. I couldn't manage a simple phone call in English. And it was frustrating. It was frustrating because I thought I wasn't capable. But the truth is, I wasn't the problem. The way I was learning was. So, in this video, I'd like to share things I wish I knew sooner so you can avoid years of frustration and disappointment like I did. One of the mistakes I used to make was focusing too much on the grammar, and I don't know why, but I was afraid of speaking incorrect English, and that's why I spend a lot of time doing grammar exercises and like studying grammar, everything, because I thought grammar would help me speak better, but in reality, it did not help me speak at all. So try to study grammar and like understand how it works as a language, but just try to not overdo it. Another mistake I used to make actually was treating English like a school subject. I studied all the time just to pass my exams, and I wasn't developing any language learning skill. And to be honest, for me, English was just another task, not something I was supposed to enjoy. So do not make the same mistake and try to enjoy the process. Try to connect it to something you love, like a hobby or something you do regularly. So, for example, if you like working out or cooking, maybe you can connect that to your target language and just make the process more fun. This one is more psychological, but I used to speak super negatively about my English and about my ability to learn languages. And I kept on saying things like, I would never become fluent, or my English sucks, or maybe language learning is just not for me, and so on. So this one is super important because you have to be careful with how you talk to yourself about your language learning, because it really affects your progress and how you see your target language. And over time, you start to believe it, even if it's not true. So I'm not talking about telling yourselves lies. Like, for example, if you have a B1 English level, you tell yourself, oh, I have a C1 English level, my English is super good. I'm not talking about this. I'm just talking about speaking negatively about your languages, because this will not get you anywhere. I mean, it's gonna make the process boring, and most probably you're gonna give up. Mistake I used to make, it was not speaking English from the beginning. I kept delaying it, and every time I had the opportunity to practice my English, I just chose to avoid it because I was so afraid of making mistakes. I remember one time I was on a vacation with my family, and I saw a tourist, okay, and I heard her speaking in English, okay, and I just wanted to go ahead and just practice my English with her. But because I was super nervous and afraid of making mistakes and too embarrassed to even try, I did not. And I know it's easier said than done, but do not make the same mistake and try to speak from day one, because trust me, the worst thing that ever gonna happen is you're gonna feel too embarrassed for a moment, but that's it. Because they don't bite, you know, there are human beings like you are, and you are trying to learn their mother tongue, so they're gonna be super supportive and would listen to you and talk to you in that language. So yeah. Another one I used to make actually was memorizing a lot of words every day, one by one. And what really happened was I barely remembered anything, and I thought I had a bad memory, you know. So I made a detailed video about this point, memorizing words and vocabulary and everything. So I'm just gonna leave the link in the description, and or maybe in the comment. You can go ahead and watch it. But yeah, do not memorize words separately anymore and try to use it. And there are so many ways to actually recall the word so you can actually remember your vocabulary better. That's it for today's video. These were some of the biggest mistakes I made while learning English. And I actually made this video so you don't have to waste the same years I did. So let me know in the comments, please, if this video helped you. And let me know which mistake you related to the most. And don't forget to subscribe. And I will see you in the next one. So thank you.